Welcome to Candid Conversations with Dr. Kelly, where we dive deep into the conversations that matter most to your mind, body, and soul. I'm your host, Dr. Kelly Utenham, a passionate advocate for brain health and wellness. And here on this podcast, we explore candid conversations about life, health, and the stories that shape us. Whether it's about mental health, sports, or simply navigating everyday challenges, we keep it real, raw, and relevant. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Welcome to another episode of Candid Conversations with Dr. Kelly. I am joined this week by two amazing gentlemen who have put their brains together to create a phenomenal product platform. We're going to get into it called TruBrain. Please welcome Burt and Alex. Welcome to the show.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. How's everybody doing?
As I like to do, I like to let the guests introduce themselves. So we'll start with Burt, who I met. He came to Brain Talk Day last year, and you found it on LinkedIn and just took a chance and came on up, which I absolutely love. So Burt, we'll start with you. Welcome to the show. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the brain space?
Definitely. Thank you, Dr. Kelly. I found the event on LinkedIn and clicked it and just showed up and it was amazing. But a little about me, Burt Reynolds is the name. I'll tell you that story later on. But my background is in neurodiagnostics and neurophysiology. I started my career in Miami, Florida, where I grew up. And then I ventured out into different aspects of neurology, went into TBI concussion like I'm in now, started in ambulatory diagnostics, and then moved my way into like virtual clinics and business development, medical device sales, the whole nine yards. And I came to this point now where TruBrain is one of the pillar things in my life I think that I've kind of focused on. And I brought in, my course, one of my really good friends and a person that helps me push the company, Alex, as well. And I'll let him, talk about some other things as well.
Thank you,
Well,
Alex.
unfortunately, I missed the conference, although I have heard so much about it from Bert. Um, I work at TruBrain. I focus on the brain testing and sleep in the PI space. I've had a lot of healthcare experience. I've been in healthcare space since I was 23 years old. So for that amount of time, I won't give my age away. Um, but when Bert came up with the idea, one of the things that we thought of was we have unlimited customers because everybody has a brain. And so if we can help people use their brains better, we probably would be in a good space.
Fantastic. Could you explain to the listeners what TruBrain is?
Yeah. So TruBrain started as a cognitive assessment company. We kind of ventured into the personal injury space as well. So our main focus is concussion and TBI for patients involved in motor vehicle accidents. And we fully test from a neurology consult all the way down to therapy. And then our other part of the business is cognitive assessments for people who want to understand their brain health from a physiological or psychological standpoint. And then we also focus on therapies as well to help people optimize their brain health.
Fantastic. And you have a special story about how TruBrain came to be. Could you talk about the inspiration behind this amazing company?
Definitely, definitely. Years and years ago, my grandmother, she suffered from dementia and colon cancer. At that time, we didn't have the resources to understand dementia. There was not a lot of talk about it. And I struggled with that because I didn't understand it. She eventually died. And then I went on this path of like, I really want to focus on brain health. And so I got into the hospital as a transporter in the beginning and luckily got accepted into a program for neurodiagnostics, which helped me understand the brain from so many different standpoints. Um, Fast forward to that, I was trying to tinker around with how do I get this out there? How do I focus on a company that uh, brings brain health to the forefront? And then I discovered ERP testing prior to me starting TruBrain.
What's
And I
ERP?
Oh, event-related potentials. So ERPs are basically how we look at the brain from a physiological standpoint. We can look at the stimulus and how that affects the brain and then measure the biomarkers for Alzheimer's, dementia, PTSD, and other neurodegenerative disorders. Uh, And then I kind of pivoted a little bit. I didn't know what to do with myself. And then my son died last year, and he was 22. He died in a drowning accident in France.
I'm so
And
sorry.
thank you, before he died, we talked about his depression and how he didn't want to take medications. And at the time, I was still tinkering around with TruBrain. And then once he passed, it was like I could either grieve or I can take that energy and refocus it into starting the company. And so I chose the option of starting the company using that grief as energy to fuel the purpose of helping people understand their brain health and not being stuck on, there's a thing that people they think they're stuck the way they are. Like we think our brains can't change, but you can rewire your brain. You can change the dynamics of how you think and how you perceive things. And that's how TruBrain got started.
Wow. Well, that makes total sense to me and it gets me excited, but I'm a nerd like that. But I often get asked or told, like, what does that mean? And um, I'm not quite sure. It's the big words that can confuse people. So while it makes total sense to me, could you break that down for our listeners who may not know what some of those terms mean? What does TruBrain do, or can it show the patient, the provider?
Well,
Yeah. Go
so
ahead, Alex.
I can do the layman's terms because I'm not as scientific as Bert is on this one, but what it does is it gives you an active way to look at the brain. So a lot of imaging has always been done on the brain after car accidents when people want to know if they had a problem, and that's a
Imaging being CTs, MRIs, those sorts of things.
yeah, those are static views, kind of like taking a picture. You can see the picture on Instagram, you can see the picture on LinkedIn, but what we're trying to do is create a movie so that you can really understand what's going on in there. So we take a different approach by using ERPs, event related potentials, to see your brain as it's going through different processes. So, there's going to be sound, there's going to be sight, there's going to be problem solving. And so as you do those things, we record how your brain reacts to it.
Wow, I love that metaphor. So enhancing what's already there. So not using the static, which would be more like the picture, that singular CT image, MRI image, X-ray scan. And then now it's a movie. So there's moving parts and audio and more of a holistic picture.
Correct. Yeah, that's
Wow.
right. We always say we make the invisible visible.
I like that. Silent epidemic, invisible injuries, all of that aligns.
Yeah.
So that makes perfect sense. Are there misconceptions that you encounter about brain health diagnostics that either of you would like to clear up?
I
I,
think Bert just said one, right? He said that most people think they're stuck in a way. A lot of people deal with trauma and they spend a lot of time going to therapy to revisit that trauma on a weekly basis. And I think there's through testing and through understanding of the brain, you can build um, new pathways, neural pathways, so that you react to stimulus differently. And I don't think a lot of people know that and understand that part of it.
I'm sure that they don't, which that will help them. Bert, is there anything else that you would want to clear up?
um, the thing is, everyone has a brain, right? And we don't really know how to use it to its full potential. We see stories, people tell us things, but do we really understand our brain? And I think that's what's the core of TruBrain. Do we know what our cognitive speed is? Do we know what our focus and attention is? Our working memory, our emotional activity, stress sensitivity. Like Alex said, CT, MRI, DT, MRI, they can't pick up those things because they're not looking at the functionality of the brain. And so with the technology we have, the way we use it, our proprietary algorithm, we can help people get insight into their brain from a daily function. Like, how does the fact that your processing speed is slow affect your daily life? How does the fact of you walking into a room, I'm forgetting my keys, how is that like a check engine light saying, hey, there may be something going on? So it really goes deep into how we help people learn about their brain, what is the process of rewiring your brain, and then the results of how it changes your life.
Okay. Could you walk us through like what onboarding will look like for a patient, what that looks like in your office space, and how that relates to the patient and the provider?
So right now we don't use an office space. We do most of our testing in the house, in the home, where the
Perfect.
patient is the most comfortable. Usually we receive an email from a physician's office or from a law office right now, and we'll contact the patient, have a discussion with them. We'll have them do a telemedicine visit with a neurologist so that they can talk through their symptoms, what's going on. If there needs to be diagnostics, then we go to the home and do the diagnostics there. It's 4 different tests, but it takes about an hour. If a person just wants to learn about their brain, the situation's a little bit differently. They would email us the same way. We would call and talk to them, and then we would do the testing in the home or in an office close by. The reason we do it that way is because if the patient feels comfortable, then they'll go through the test a lot more seamlessly and they can focus a lot better. If they're distracted, it becomes a lot more difficult for them to focus.
Okay, that's so convenient.
Yeah, and then we call and go over. We use our algorithm that Burt suggested earlier, and we go over the results with the patient. And I will tell you that I didn't really understand the testing when we first started. So Burt tested me, and understanding how my attention is and how I have very little of it has helped me relearn to focus and to kind of get a handle on how I focus my attention, how I plan out my workday, making lists and things like that. So it's kind of become more of a superpower for me than a disorder. So even if it's something as small as attention deficit disorder, you can still pick up on that and learn from it. So the testing is really, really interesting.
Yeah, and that's subjective. ADHD is something small. That could be something huge for other people. Brains are different and also depending upon the age. So I really like that you can use it if there's something going on and if you want to learn your status, because you could have a relatively healthy brain, no injuries, no history of sports or concussion or anything, but you're just interested in checking the status of your brain. So I'm thinking
Yeah.
about the potential of lifespan that could be beneficial for young people who are school age as well as older people. And I'm thinking right now about athletes who have asked me, or like when I talk to them about concussion and TBI and CTE, I'm giving education, but a lot of times they're doing a self analysis and they're thinking, man, like I've been hit a bunch of times and
Yeah.
sometimes I forget my keys and, misplace things or forget appointments. Is there something going on with me? So I think this sounds
Mhm.
like a fantastic route to do a little check in and pop the hood and see what's going on.
Well, speaking of athletes, what's interesting about athletes is that they deal in high pressure situations and environments. And some of this will help them understand how to deal with that stress. So I've never taken a free throw in front of 20,000 people. So I don't understand that stress. But I think through understanding your brain and how you're dealing with stress on a daily basis, you can apply that into the sports world to become a better athlete. You can also look into vitamins that you're taking, foods that you're eating, and all those things that could affect your brain, and kind of know a little bit more about your performance enhancement through brain knowledge as well. So there's a lot of opportunity there to use the information for however you and your team decide to use it for in that aspect.
It sounds like there are a lot of other medical professionals outside of speech therapists and medical doctors that can benefit from this, because you're talking about depression and stress. So, is there indication of those kinds of levels as well with the testing that you all do?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing I can say is there's millions of people, I think it's like 60 to 70 million people a year living with undiagnosed depression, anxiety, um, concussions, TBI, some kind of mild cognitive impairment. And with our technology, we're not only able to see how the functionality of the brain is affected by a motor vehicle accident, but how your job is affecting it, how your family, because we have to show up when we open our eyes in the morning, we have to show up as many different people and then use that information to say, hey, this is how this may be affecting you in this area of your life. And it's like, oh, I didn't realize that. And you know, again, TruBrain was started to, and I'm very passionate about it. I think everyone should get a yearly scan. Everyone should understand how their brain health is. Our goal is to scan 1 million brains. We'll get there. But and it goes beyond that. But yes, we can help people understand how depression, or if they're not sure if they're depressed. We can also help people understand if they have PTSD, because a lot of people, after they have an accident or some kind of trauma, they are affected and they have PTSD and don't even realize it.
I am so excited about this. Now, listeners, I was supposed to get scanned. I will get scanned. I'm a visual learner, so much like what Alex was talking about, I'm grasping the concept, but I am a visual learner. So I want to see like how you're able to identify and see like, is it a particular cluster? Is it colors? Like, what are the questions on the test? Maybe there are some nerds out there who are excited about this as well, but like
You're
my
trying to
mind
cheat.
is reeling. Say it
You're
again.
cheating. You're cheating. You're cheating. We can't tell you the answers to that. You have to take the test.
I want to. I want to. I'm going to take the test. I want to see everything, how it works. Um, and then I can't wait. So this, I mean, everybody has a brain. So I agree with Burke. Everybody should have an annual screening to check the status, because just that annual screening can serve as a baseline. Because if something happens and they do, um, anything can happen. We're all at risk for a concussion from a fall, which is the most common cause of concussions, car accidents, playgrounds, playing with your kids, sports. There are just so many ways that your brain could get disrupted, and that's from an outside force causing an injury. This, with TruBrain, it's any aspect of your brain. So depression, stress, I think that is amazing.
Well,
So,
so let's also remember there's positives to it too. If you're doing things to better your health, it's also a check-in to say, look how great I'm doing. Not only am I exercising, changing my diet, losing weight, I'm also strengthening my brain and getting more healthy that way too. I mean, there's healthcare has got to become positive at some point, and not always the fear of hurting yourself, but maybe the excitement of doing better in your own life.
very
Yeah.
true. And that's an important piece to consider, because as a clinician, they don't need me if there's not a crisis or a problem. So that's a really great reframing for myself as well as all listeners. It doesn't have to come from a reactive standpoint, it could be proactive and
Hmm.
highlighting the positive things that you're doing. Bert, were you going to say something?
So I had an experience the other day, which was funny. My wife, she purchased a what is it now? Aura ring. Is that what it's called? The Aura
Yes,
ring?
it
Yeah,
is.
the
Been
ring.
rocking one for years.
They need to send
The
you guys a
Aura
check.
ring.
I know,
Yeah,
right? Listen up,
yeah,
Aura
yeah.
Ring.
Aura ring. I'll be ready. And
Sponsors needed.
she said that her job, provided it. I said, oh, that's cool. That's, great. What does it measure? It measures all these things. So I think it was 2 days ago, she drank some of the I forgot what the coffee is, Rise or Doze coffee. And she
I
said
need to
she
talk
felt,
to your wife. I do rise as well.
yeah,
Okay. We
so,
got the ring, the tea. Is it the
yeah,
tea or the coffee?
yeah, no, the coffee, the
Okay.
coffee.
Still rise though. Okay.
Yeah,
Go
still
ahead,
Rise.
Mrs. Reynolds.
The funny thing is, she said, I drank the coffee and I felt good. And my Oura ring gave me a notification. The notification said your stress levels have went down. So for 2 hours, she saw her stress levels go down because of drinking the coffee. So I said, well, do you know what your brain looks like after that happens? She's like, no. So you got a notification saying, hey, your stress levels went down. Well, what does that look like? How do we quantify that? Is that objective? Like, did the coffee objectively cause your brain to slow down enough so your stress can go down? That's what TruBrain can do. That is how we evaluate the brain by, yes, you have this notification, but here's what it looks like.
Yeah. That's like taking it 2 to 3 steps further in the
Yeah,
best way. I like that
yeah,
there's a cue on when to check with the Aura ring. So that could be something to consider, where if you have a wearable that can check those things and give a patient or client hey, let me take a look at this. I like how this can totally reframe where it's like, I want to check and see, how is this affecting? How is this affecting? And I had a patient yesterday who we talked a lot about diet, and she realized that her seizures are being triggered by red dye. And so she
Mm,
said that one day she had flaming hot fries. I think that's correct.
yep, that's it.
And
That's one.
Doritos.
Doritos, but she had the hot fries and she had Gatorade, and it was um it had red dye in it. And she said that her seizures were back to back to back to back to back that day. So she said that she stopped consuming it for a couple of days, and she was had fewer seizures, noticeably so. And she said just a trial to see if that's what it was. She had the fries and the Gatorade with the red dye again, and she said same thing, consistently back to back to back seizures.
I like how she made an excuse to to have, to have her chips again. That
Well,
was
yes, I mean
awesome.
she
That's a
has a
good one.
TBI, but she's a brilliant,
Hey,
crafty young lady.
hey, listen. So I can tell in my household when everybody's eating Doritos or
Oh,
everybody's eating um the red juices or what have you, or sugary snacks, because there's way more energy going crazy in our house. When those things aren't in our house, which they always are, right? But when they're not in our house, I can definitely tell there's a much more calm atmosphere. And I think that's because those things affect everybody. Red 40 is proven to exacerbate the effects of attention deficit disorder. And what's even more interesting, if you dive a little bit deeper into what Red 40 is made out of, I don't think you'll eat it as much once you do your research on where that stuff comes from.
well, I definitely will have to dive deeper into that. Listeners, I hope you do the same. But the part that just broke my heart was the fruit snacks.
Uh,
Gushers, Welch's. They had
That's
all
my
of my good
favorite.
ones on the list. Fruit
Peace
roll up.
rings. Mm-hmm.
What? Oh my gosh! Like
Yeah.
taking away my '90s treats.
It's all the childhood memories.
I
That's kind of
know.
what it is. It's all the nostalgic things you got to kind of put to the side now. And but I will say that I don't think they make them the same as when we were younger.
Okay,
So
that's
I'll give my parents that. Like, you know, they didn't
okay.
know, and I think they were Twinkies were probably made different then than they are now.
Well, hold on,
But
Alex. We didn't say anything about Twinkies, okay? Those are still safe
yeah,
to a degree in
cookies.
my book. Let's
Yeah,
just not get crazy here. We're talking about
and
red
cinnamon buns too.
dye.
Cinnamon buns are
hey,
good too.
man,
Right. No
I'll
red
let you
dye in
guys
the
have them.
cinnamon buns. Come on, stop expanding. We're talking about red dye, okay? Focus. Don't take away the other treats.
Sorry.
Okay, we don't need to know what makes the creamy center so delicious. It's healthy at this point. Just
Yeah,
ignorance is bliss.
Yeah,
that's right. I'll let
there
you
you
have
go.
it. I'll let
There
you
you go.
have it.
There you
Thank you, thank you. We're obviously kidding, listeners. But I want to talk about neurology, neurologists, because people hear brain and they think neurology. And so I often have to do education with patients and audience members when I do speaking events, and let them know that doctors, neurologists included, are not experts in concussion or, brain injury, CTE, those sorts of things. And for starters, because those injuries can be so subtle and not have those changes, they don't show up on a CT in different scans as frequently as there should be a diagnosis for an injury. So, as many people get into the neurologist office and, like, okay, yes, I'm getting in with the neurologist, and there's that kind of relief where it's like, okay, I'm going to be taken care of, everything's going to be okay. Not all neurologists are created equal, not all doctors are created equal. So, my question is, of the people that do go see neurologists, how does TruBrain change that timeline?
Okay, so I'm gonna go first and say, out of respect for the profession and how long you guys are in school, we definitely understand that physicians are experts in what they do, right? We'll give everybody blanket credit for that part. I think from our standpoint, what we are seeing is that technology is changing so rapidly that it is possible for physicians to get comfortable in the way that they treat concussion, the way that they treat migraine, the way that they treat the disease states that they see every day. And maybe they're not always paying attention to the new flashy technology, right? So for us, we like to say that we can explain how our technology works to any neurologist and they'll understand it. It's just, especially with ERP, it's been in research for 50 years, but it's only been made where we can take it around and use it the way that we're using it as of recent, right? So we're not judging doctors for not knowing the technology is there, because a lot of them don't focus on research, they focus on practice. So I'll start off by saying that, right? Um, because that's what I heard first. And I just want to make sure that we never say like there's bad people or doctors, because I think most doctors are trying their best.
Well,
But technology is zooming right now, if you've ever noticed.
yes, I'm sorry. I want to clarify because I don't want it to sound like I'm saying that they're not good or anything like that. My specific comment was there are a lot of doctors who are not experts in concussion, because
Correct. That's
when
true. You did.
people go to the neurologist, they'll think like, okay, you can help me, but there can be pushback where neurologists are like, no, you don't need a speech therapist. We're going to send you to a neuropsychologist. But there's a difference between mental health and then cognitive health. And they're related, but it's not the same as let's take you to a therapist who can assess your depression levels, your anxiety levels, and then say, well, you don't have those things or medication is helping. So you're clear to go back to work. But you have memory deficits. It's hard for you to communicate. Your problem solving and sequencing are out of whack. Your vision is off. So all of those things can get overlooked if they're not experts in this specific niche area. And medical schools in America and in Canada, a lot of them don't have concussion curriculum. And so, yes, doctors do have a lot that they have to learn,
Mm-hmm.
of the whole body and then those areas that they specialize in. But concussion and this kind of injury has been an oversight, which is the whole purpose of Brain Talk Foundation. But you are correct. Doctors train, they are educated, and they are experts, but the concussion space is a niche area that's often overlooked. So I'm glad that you said that. I want to clarify. I'm not bashing doctors. I love doctors. I want to educate and help so that these oversights are less and, in a perfect world, completely eliminated. But yes, thank you. I wanted to clarify that, but go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I just wanted to make sure we extended the idea that technology is changing so fast, especially with the interest in brain health as of recent, that if you're seeing patients all day, you're going to have a tough time keeping up. And so, what I would imagine TruBrain does for those doctors is it provides them with information so that they can make a better diagnosis, right? So, we are a tool for the doctor to make personal care plans for those patients that are interested in their brain health. Now, we give based on what we receive in terms of the information from the equipment. We have a reporting that we do that the patient can read, but it is really good to have a doctor interpret that into the science and the treatment that they're already having and they're receiving from that physician.
Fantastic. Are you able to translate it, or does it have to be done by a medical doctor? Can other people get trained to translate the results?
Yeah, other
Yes.
people can get trained on it. Yeah, for sure. That's part of the excitement that we have in it, is that right now we have neurologists that read it, but there's other types of physicians that can read it based on insurance and personal injury and those things. But if you're coming to learn more about your brain and paying out of pocket, like, we can show you what we're looking at the whole time and you can understand it. I mean, the equipment's very sensitive, so it's really, to me, it was really interesting to see if I started to grit my teeth, right? you could see it show up in my brain waves. If I started getting tired or disinterested in what was going on the screen, I could see it in the brain waves. Once Burt told me that's what that was, I could see it after I knew. So through going through the process, you will have a different kind of understanding about your brain just from seeing that level of acuity within your brain system. So I would say try it if you're interested, and we'll figure out what you know and how you can get brought up to speed at that time.
Wow. And in real time, as you're gritting or grinding your teeth, you would be
Oh
able to
yeah.
see that?
Yeah, the
Oh,
line shifts all over the place for sure.
wow.
Yeah.
So
I
that's the clinical side of go ahead, sorry.
I'm just so excited. I'm trying not to geek out and just interrupt y'all with all the questions I have. I'm thinking about the different um holistic, just outside of the box kind of solutions, treatments, interventions that I've encountered when doing this work. And the first thing that comes to mind is Square One or SQ1, which is a framework that uses a certain sequence of motions to bring the basically trauma or memory of said injury. This is for concussions and physical injuries. And when doing a sequence of these motions, it could be doing 2 squats, sitting down, like bridging your hips and, just things that you're doing. But if you're able to see just grinding your teeth, not just, but if you're able to see grinding your teeth in real time, I'm wondering how that can also work with Square One. So as they're doing the motions and clearing the behavior, how that would show up. Is it on a screen? Are there electrodes that are connected?
So it would be tough to do motions with it because you have a cap on your head and it's connected to a computer screen and you'll see it through the screen. What I would think would be amazing, just off of what you just said, is to do a quick 15-20 minute test before, do the motion of clearing the trauma, and then do the test immediately after, and comparing the results from both of those to see what kind of changes you got from doing that.
Okay. Yeah. And it could work because there are ways to clear where you're sitting down. They can do it via telehealth, but it could be like raising your arm 2 times and then pausing, and then they like snap right here where the concussion took place. I'm snapping near my forehead, listeners. Um and then they could do something else where they like get close to your face and they remove it. So I think those kinds of
Yeah,
motions could work if they're able to stay stationary.
that would be fascinating. I'd definitely be interested in seeing that.
Yeah, there's a practitioner here, so maybe we could all collaborate and see how that works.
Sure, that'd be
Definitely.
fun.
Yeah, okay.
Are you on the hunt for fun, functional, and diverse therapy materials for both your pediatric and adult clients? Well, let me put you on to something I absolutely love and use in my private practice: Cognishine. If you haven't heard of it yet, Cognishine is a digital platform designed to support speech, language, memory, attention, executive function, and more. It's science-backed, clinically effective, and works beautifully for both teletherapy and in-person sessions. But what really makes Cognishine shine? It's completely customizable. You can tailor exercises to your client's specific needs, whether you're targeting speech sounds, supporting recovery after a concussion, or strengthening cognitive skills post-stroke. It's become a game changer in my sessions, and my clients absolutely love it. So, if you're looking for a tool to elevate your therapy, check out Cognishine and tell them Dr. Kelly sent you.
Burt, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Um, I have a bunch of things to add, but
Yes.
one of the things my quarry with, you know, parents and coaches, I want to shift back to the sports a little bit. These kids are playing from when they're like 9, 10, 11 years old in football or soccer, constantly bumping their head. Um, what is the return to play? How do we know that these children are functioning at their peak? where they're supposed to be. A perfect example, I had a kid one time, had a game, after the game, complained of nausea, went to the ER, get a CT, nothing, sent home medication, was still throwing up. We did an ERP scan. His brain, from a functionality standpoint, looked like the brain of a 75-year-old Alzheimer's patient at 15. So
Oh my gosh.
when I push the yearly scans, it's not just for everyone. So Medicare covers it for 65 and older, right? They have a little BCAT, they take this test. What about us? What about me? I'm 46. What about the kid playing, soccer? He's 13. You know, what are the provisions for us to look at our brain from a functionality standpoint? Because it affects us in so many parts of our life. Now, let's say this kid stops playing football, doesn't go on to be a football player. Those concussions that happen during that time frame, it's going to manifest somewhere in his life. It's either going to be mood swings, it's going to be agitation, it's going to be anxiety, it's going to be depression, it's going to be how they interact with people. That's not being measured or quantified. So now this person just goes on and thinks that's their actual normal, and it's not. Their brain has been through so much trauma during that time, their body is manifesting it, just like seizures. Not all seizures are clinical. Some seizures are pseudo seizures. So it's from some traumatic experience that this person experienced a while back, and it's manifesting when they're 30 or 35 in some aspect of their life. So when we look at the brain, neurologists, neurosurgeons, all these people that do look at the brain, they do a fantastic job. They do what they're supposed to do, but we go to them when we have a problem. The brain is a constant thing; it's always on. So if you have an engine that's always on, guess what's going to happen? There's going to be some subtle things that go on. You guys, it's okay. I don't need to go to the doctor because I have to go to the doctor because there is a problem. Brain health should be proactive. We should want to look at our brains all the time. I mean, from a clinical standpoint, not CT, MRI, but the functionality, because supplements affect how we process information, coffee, what we eat. Even plant-based diets have been shown to affect cognitive health in positive and negative ways. So I feel that educating people on understanding what the functionality of the brain is, how it can assist them in their daily lives, and then how we can start talking about it more should come to the forefront, because I see people go to wellness centers, they pay 10 grand to look and feel amazing. But what are you actually feeling? How is this actually affecting your life is what TruBrain is about.
As the young kids say, that's a bar. Drop the mic. So many different places to go there. I love that I can just like feel the passion coming from you gentlemen on this topic, on your business. So like I said, have so many places I want to go, but I really want to educate our listeners on the seizure versus pseudo seizure, because you taught me about that, which made me think that the patient that I'm working with who is having seizures, that she could be having pseudo seizures instead. So could you explain the difference of that?
So when you have a clinical seizure, in EEG realm, when we're monitoring patients' brain waves, we can actually see the seizure on the screen. So when Alex is saying, "Hey, you saw when you grind your teeth," that's what we call clinical artifact. So it's artifact on the brain waves. When a seizure is happening, the voltage of the brain waves will change, and then those changes are monitored. And if they evolve into certain parameters or certain measurements, that is then quantified as a seizure. A pseudo seizure, if I'm looking at a screen, I'm watching the patient's brainwaves, this patient will clench up, they'll posture, their feet will turn, they'll do all the manifestations of a seizure, but their brain isn't actually seizing. You do not see any clinical correlate. So that's the differentiation between a clinical and a pseudo seizure.
And just to take it a step further, with the pseudo seizure, you said that they'll present physically like they're seizing, but the trigger could be something emotional or something like they're being overwhelmed with a cognitive task. So, is that accurate?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So I've had when I worked in the epilepsy monitoring unit, my job at the time was to monitor patients that came in for medication titration, new onset seizures, or they had a new seizure type start, and we had to monitor them for like 4 to 5 days. During that time, we've had also people who came in with, they presented as seizures, they're taking seizure medications as well, but their brain had no clinical correlate of them seizing. And when you talk to them, ask them, hey, like, tell me about your life. Tell me, uh, when did the seizures start? Usually it started after this event happened, after I was, abused, after I had ended my divorce, after I started this new medication that be from depression, anxiety, um, or it's when I go to this certain place, have an event. So when you look at that, you can see that it's more of a psychological thing more than a clinical aspect. A clinical person is going to be, I had this injury. Here's why I'm having seizures, or I developed epilepsy. This part of the brain is actually seizing, and we can see that. So that's kind of differentiator to analyze if a person's actually having a clinical, or sometimes it could be a subclinical. So the patient could be seizing, and it's so deep in the brain you can't see it. And that's when you have to go, it's a whole nother process, sticking electrodes in the brain and monitoring. But they are having a clinical seizure, it's just deep down in the brain.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we could go off on a tangent on that for a while. I've got so many questions. Okay. More generally, what about headaches? Because that's like the chief complaint for people who do have a concussion or, after a car accident, whiplash, that sort of a thing. Can the imaging that you all use see headaches or migraines?
No, we can't see the headaches or migraines, but we can potentially see why they're being caused from a functionality standpoint. So if a person has more of one of the ways we measure in ERP is a P300 latency. So if that increases or decreases because of a headache, the headache may be caused not because of the concussion, or it may be because of something psychological that's going on. So we can measure that aspect of it. And from a concussion TBI standpoint, the headaches are going to come because of, the brain is going through that process. So we can't really say, hey, you have a headache. We can see your headache, but we can say, here's why your headache may be happening.
Okay. So also bringing in, another professional, chiropractors. So chiropractors have educated me that you can get whiplash with just 4 Gs of force. And a concussion, you can sustain that with between 50 and 120 Gs of force for younger kids, smaller kids who don't have the adult framework and buildup of, shoulders and neck yet that adults do. They can get concussed. Research, it can be as low as 30 Gs of force in small children. So with that, if you sustain a concussion, then you are essentially guaranteed to also have whiplash since your neck only needs 4 Gs. 30 is obviously more than 4. And then you go up 50 to 120. So chiropractors say that they can palpate or touch the neck, and the patient will say like, ow, that hurts my headache, that's making my headache feel worse, or it's triggering the headache. So I'm wondering if you could do a TruBrain analysis about the migraines, or just kind of like for the baseline, go see the chiropractor, get adjusted over one or however many sessions, and then come back and then do another imaging with TruBrain. Could that show a difference? Like once intervention has taken place with chiropractics?
I think definitely yes. So we actually work with chiropractors also, in the direct to consumer and also personal injury space. And what chiropractors see is, from a functional standpoint, we can actually measure when a person goes to a chiropractor to get therapy. Let's say we scan before, we can see the changes in the brain, a decrease in anxiety, decrease in depression, decrease in stress from the movements or the adjustments they've done in a chiropractor's office.
Amazing. Man. Okay, we're going to slide it on back to the sports space for a second because I really wanted to talk about how important your work is when you were talking about what about the player that doesn't make it to the league kind of a thing. And I always talk about how it's, everybody says, well, it's 1 in a million to make it to the league. any league, baseball, football, basketball, soccer, all of the sports. Don't want to leave anybody out. But I always say, what about the other million? Because yes, this 1 in a million person could make it to the league, but that opens and expands their options for healthcare, whether it's them having access to an exclusive doctor that serves professional athletes or something. But or I know that in the NFL, when they retire, there are facilities where they can go to kind of rehab and have their bodies worked on and all of that. But the other million who, got hurt in college and weren't able to go to the draft or whatever it may be, those people are still in the world functioning. And so they're our accountants, they're our Uber drivers, our lawyers, our cashiers at the grocery store. And so the challenges that they could be experiencing, like you said, these kids are 15 and 17 having a tough time from all the injuries that they've sustained to their brain over the course of the years. But then you put them out into the world with no education about what they're experiencing, no scans so that they can actually have a visual understanding of what's taking place. And then, we only have, or society only has, the tools that they've been given, which is something's wrong with this person, or they approach them in a way of like, oh, this is breaking news because there's a violent athlete who did X, Y, and Z, but they're not really looking at the intricacies of this person has had injuries to their brain, small or large, for the past 15 years. And now they're out in the world without a guidebook or a resource as to why they're experiencing all of these challenges. And I think TruBrain can really help to highlight those things and encourage people to get care that they need for treating those kinds of things. So
I think the misconception with athletes is that they get this care while they're playing. Unfortunately, as an athlete, you get paid to play, not to heal. And so once you're retired is when you start to get the care that you need to fix the things that are broken. One of the things Burt and I talked about is there's got to be a way we could do this and just not charge insurance and just let people have access to the testing for themselves. And so we're still trying to figure that part out, because a lot of college and pro players that are actually playing don't want to sit out 1 or 2 Saturdays, because it's a career ending situation sometimes for them, or the person behind them is better and then they get to start in a game that they're not playing in. So we try to be careful and available, right? We're careful about what we say in this situation, but we're available to speak to people and to test people discreetly as well, so that they can have access to the test without a lot of hoo-ha over who they are or what they're doing.
I like that. Discretion. So of course, we're talking a lot about medical doctors and different specialists like neurologists, chiropractors. As a speech language pathologist in the brain space, what other professionals can benefit from the results of TruBrain?
So I think everybody. No,
yeah.
go ahead.
No,
yeah,
I think that is the answer. I just was thinking of how to say it and not sound like a everybody. Smart jerk on the phone. So I apologize.
It's everybody, because everyone has a brain, right? The number one thing, I call it the recession proof. Everyone has a brain. Well, most people have brains. That's another conversation, but everyone has a brain, right? Everyone has a brain from a clinical standpoint. So why wouldn't you want to know how your brain is doing? Like I said earlier, we go to the doctor because there's a problem. Your brain is always running. When we wake up in the morning, we open our eyes. When we open our eyes, that's the beginning of our day. Our brain is getting started up. We're starting to get ourselves going, get this routine going. And if we're not understanding why our brain functions this way, then how are we living our best lives as humans? So to me, everyone, the garbage man, the truck driver. It's a truck driver the other day just made an illegal U-turn, you know, not thinking, over 4 lanes, van crash, everybody died. And why? Wasn't thinking. It had to be he wasn't processing cognitively what he was doing. Because in his mind, he thought it was right. But sometimes what we think and the actual perception of life is different. So I can go down a rabbit hole of it, but I think everyone is affected. The executive who runs a billion-dollar company, he has to be on point all the time. What are his stress levels? Why is he this? Maybe he wants to slow down a little bit. He's always on 10. The neurosurgeon who's doing surgery, he has to be on point. He has to be focused. What is that taking away from him to focus all that energy? The football player who played in high school, graduated, and went on to be an attorney or someone. How is he affected in his day-to-day life? So I think it applies to everyone, but professionals, football players, soccer players, rugby players, people who in Olympics, it takes a lot of processing power to utilize your brain to focus on something. And in some aspects, we lack in other areas, and it shows up in our daily life.
Very good.
When we first started this company, and Burt was trying to convince me to do this, I thought of a video that I watched with my kids a lot called The Incredibles. And the bad guy's name is Syndrome in The Incredibles. If you have kids, you'll understand. And he says that he started making things to make people super, because once everybody was, then nobody was. And so I would tell Burt, we've got to have a niche group of people that we start with. And so I would name a profession or a person or a type of person, and I'd say, why would they need it? And he could tell me every single time, housewife, there's an emotional component, there's an organizational component, a teacher, same thing. Like every single profession, knowing your brain health and how you are reacting to situations and how you deal with organization, it can only help you. And just like for your heart, for your pain, for your kidneys, there's treatment available to make things better if there is a deficit. And I think the reason that people never jumped on brain health was because they didn't know that there was therapies for these things. And they're fun therapies. They're not hard. They're not all pills. They're not all surgery. I mean, there's games you can play. There's all kind of super fun things you can do. Well, fun is relative, right? Because like you said, we're all a little bit more nerdy than the average person. So there's fun things that you can do to increase your brain health, develop new neuro plasticity. There's all kind of things that you can do, and it doesn't have to be terrible, right? So, I mean, that's probably the next time we talk, it may be good to talk about the therapies a little bit and what people can do on their own to do these things, because getting the information is one thing and then doing something with it is another. And so that's kind of where we want to put people in a place to make decisions on what kind of therapy they're going to do as well.
Absolutely. Everybody can benefit from doing these, would you call them screenings, testings?
Screening sounds better. Yeah. People get nervous with tests.
You're right. Everyone should have a screening, and all professionals across the board, medical professionals, can benefit from the results of these screenings. I was thinking about, you said the housewife. I was thinking about moms as well. There's a lot of cognitive load of managing, even down to, who their kids' best friends are and the drama that goes on within, their friend circles and who's not talking to who. And then also, medical appointments and who wants what for dinner and who's allergic to what, and laundry and, soccer practice. Like, they have a lot that they have to manage as well. And I'm thinking about moms that I know, and I'm thinking about those who are brave enough to talk about if they're on any kind of medication to help them sustain the pressures of motherhood and being a spouse and all the things. And I'm thinking like these screenings can also help with whatever they're doing to help improve their mental health or cognitive health, and if they can wean off of medication. I'm sure that
So,
the screenings can help that too.
so I
Yeah.
heard a new word this week called mansplaining. So I'm not going to do a mansplaining deal, but I will say I was a house husband for a little bit. My wife was working and I wasn't. And what I found was that it just was emotionally taxing. And that's something that people always talk about, the organization, getting your kids to this, that, or the other. But there's a draining piece of putting yourself last all the time, and that emotional component can be seen. So that's where I would imagine you could say, okay, the P300 is latent. That's going to cause me to erupt emotionally at some point. Let's figure out a way that I get an hour's worth of time to myself a day so that I can be at peace when I go into dealing with everyone else's problems in this whole house. Even the dog, right? The dog, the cat, you got to do all of that. So, for me, it's about understanding how you're actually feeling from not from an emotional standpoint, like I'm mad about this situation, but from a brain standpoint, like this is how my brain is interpreting what I'm going through in this situation. And this is why I may feel this way or why I feel overwhelmed.
I like that.
Yeah.
And I like that you talked about being a house husband. Shout out to all the house husbands out there. There are
Yeah.
men who fulfill that role and take on that emotional fatigue and cognitive fatigue as well. So shout out to you all. I'm thinking about all of the different ways. And of course, we could talk about this forever, but I want to know, where do you all see TruBrain in the next 5 or 10 years?
Uh, I want to help everybody, right? I want to help everyone. I want to educate society on why the function of your brain is important. I was talking to a colleague earlier this week about perimenopause, and I had a conversation with my sister about this. Brain fog, estrogen. Your estrogen is increasing, so estrogen supports your memory, attention, mood regulation, and different estrogen can cause brain fog and emotional instability. Well, we can measure that. We can help see where you are, and then we can do the therapies to help you get back to a baseline so you can handle that cognitive load, because our brains constantly have a cognitive load, constantly. And it has to go somewhere, right? It's going to go either in your body or it's going to go out into the world on how you represent yourself. So True Brain is on a mission to help people understand their brain health. I I I want to have TruBrain in every single city. I want people to be able to come and say, "Hey, I don't feel any different, but I want to know what my brain health score is." Or, "Hey, I started working out. I want to know how it's affecting my cognition." Or, "Hey, I'm gonna have a baby." Like we can go deeper and look at the genetics, right? There's genetic biomarkers that show how you show up. The information of your DNA flows through you. So that can be from trauma from your parents, that can be from trauma you have, like it can be passed on to your kids. Like, how do you quantify and objectively see that? Um, so you know, I'm passionate about it because everyone has a brain and everyone should understand how their brain functions and how it helps them to show up at what version of themselves every day. And so in the next couple of years, I want to see TruBrain in the forefront of functional testing, screening everyone who either wants to understand their brain, athletes who want to be able to return to play safely, parents who want their kids to return to play safely, executives who want to be sharper and stay sharp because cognition is decreasing because of microplastics, the foods we eat, everything in the environment, the stress of the world itself, all that presents a cognitive load in our body. So, I want everyone to understand their brain. I want everyone to take their brain seriously because without it, you're not existent. You're not. We know what a vegetable is, right? So you're not a vegetable. You have the opportunity to have this wonderful brain. Let's see how it functions. Let's understand how we can help you feel better, but also stay in that place of feeling better. Neuroplasticity is such a big thing, and I don't think a lot of people understand that you can recreate the neural pathways in your brain, rewire your brain to be a better husband, to be a better wife, to be a better executive, to be a better physician. It's an emotional standpoint. It's also a physical standpoint. You put those two together, and that's how you bring a person to an understanding of who they are, but this is my brain, and this is who I'm going to show up as. And TruBrain wants to be a part of that.
Beautifully said. For those who are unfamiliar, neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to heal itself, essentially. And I'm glad that you mentioned the perimenopause piece because we're gonna have to get in touch with Halle Berry because she's doing a lot of work in this space, and she's talking about a hormone replacement patch that women can wear, and I think that would be great to do pre and post screens with TruBrain for how that patch is affecting women who use it.
Yeah, I mean, with perimenopause, they're more at higher risk of depression, anxiety, and cardiovascular changes and bone loss. Like these things affect millions of women, and they're not understanding how do I work through this? What is there to measure if I'm getting better or not? I feel better here, but I'm not feeling better there. So from that standpoint, we would love to get with, women who are focused on that from a company standpoint or organizations, because that's important. Because if, to me, we're all one, right? We got female and male and everybody is different, but we're all one and we all have brains. How do we show up as our best versions of ourselves is understanding how our brain works, because it's going to affect everything else in our life and our body.
Absolutely. If some listener out there is worried about their brain health or a loved one's brain health, or if they are just interested in learning the status of their brain, what are the first steps that they should take to get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with a couple different ways. They can email us at info@thetruebrain.com, which I'm sure you'll post. What do I do below here?
It'll be in the show notes.
Right. Also, our website, if you have questions, you can type in questions and it comes directly to the two of us. So it's not a big jump. We're not hiding somewhere in a tall building. We're always available and in the streets talking to people. So it's pretty easy. We make ourselves very available. I talk to every patient that's ever been referred to us. So,
wow. So they'll get to actually
easy.
Speak with the Alex and the Burt.
Burt Reynolds, yes.
The Burt Reynolds, yes. Now you were supposed to tell us a story about the Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, I'll give you the
name.
summarized version real quick.
Yeah.
So I was born in '78 in Miami, and I was premature labor. My mom, she was flying back and forth to Jamaica to Miami to see my grandmother, and she went into premature labor. So I'm what you call a Jamaican. And I was in the hospital for like 4 months. I was actually born half blind, so because I had congenital cataracts.
Oh my
So I can tell you my story of life is interesting. So I was born half blind, and in Jamaica, they just said, hey, just get a check basically. But she wanted more from me. So when she was here, she had me. I was in the NICU for like 4 months, and for those 2 months I was there, she didn't name me yet. There, I was just baby A, and Burt Reynolds just happened to be filming in Miami, injured his eye. He was going to the Eye Institute across street from the hospital, so everybody found out he was coming. And the nurse was like, "You should name your son Burt." And they were frustrated because my mom didn't name me. I said, "Oh yeah, fine." She didn't know about Burt Reynolds actually being there. And so I went back home to Jamaica. I was Burt Reynolds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, is it just by chance that your family last name is Reynolds?
Just by chance, yeah. Just by
wow.
just by chance, yeah. Just by
wow.
chance.
Oh my goodness.
It was all chance. And it's funny, the same hospital I was born at is the same hospital I worked at, and the same hospital I started understanding brain health.
Wow, talk about full circle. Too bad that nurse wasn't still there.
No. Where she is.
She's
46 years of Burt Reynolds. It's definitely a conversation starter.
Yes. Well, hopefully she's somewhere retired and happy, but what a great story. Okay, so before we hop into the candid questionnaire, is there anything that you all would like to promote? We do. You put out the email address, the website. You mentioned website. What is it? And of course, listeners, this information will also be in the show notes.
www.trubrain.com.
Okay.
And Burt's got a book that he probably won't talk about, but he does have a book talking about rewiring your brain. I'd like to promote that. And we can put that link on the website and we'll send it to you too. It's available on Amazon. I've ordered it 50 times, so he's sold 50 copies at least.
Okay.
So that's awesome.
Congratulations, Burt. Don't bury the lead. Why wouldn't you tell us about the book?
You know, full circle, this is my first time on video, or talking about brain health in this aspect. Never been a podcast before, so thank you, Dr. Kelly, for having me and breaking me out my shell. This has been one of the things I've always wanted to do, but I do have a book called Rewired. It's called A Dopamine Reset, because everyone scrolls and we don't realize, and I'm gonna talk about this for a minute. I had a friend of mine, she had a kid and the kid was on the iPad all the time. Took the kid off the iPad, he didn't know what to do himself. 3 days later, went back to socializing and communicating. So I say that to say that the screen time, the phone time affects our brains in so many different ways. The dopamine constantly hitting because we're screening, that's affecting our cognitive health. And that affects millions of Americans, millions of people a year in the world, not just Americans, everyone. So I did write a book called Rewire the Dopamine Reset. I will post a link. It is not perfect. It's my first book, so excuse me. But
I'm
I
sorry,
had to.
Mr. Published Author. We're not going to talk like that. I am excited for you, and I'm going to get this book today.
Thank
That's
you.
good.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was something that's passionate to me because I just see people just scrolling on their phones and I'm like, man, that's affecting your brain. You don't realize it. And I wrote the book and it's just been sitting there. Yes, Alex did purchase some copies from other people, but I will, I will publish it now and everyone can see it and understand their brain health.
I think 50 is more than some, but shout out to
Yeah.
Alex for
There you go.
for the overwhelming support. I love that. Anything else?
That's
Any
it.
events? Okay. All right. Well, are you on social media? Can
No,
listeners
we're not
follow
yet.
you all? Okay.
Not yet. We're working on that now. We have all of our blogs on the website, so we're trying to get into the social media side of things. Getting Burt to get on camera is more difficult than he's making it seem. So hopefully this comfortability process of him being on your podcast will help.
Well, I hope so. I said candid conversations. We're just going to basically hang out and talk about things that we're passionate about and that we love. I think that you both have done a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Of
Thank
course.
you.
Hey everyone, Dr. Kelly here, founder of Brain Talk Foundation, and I need your help. Every donation helps us raise awareness about brain health and concussions, especially in underserved communities. We're going into schools, talking to students, athletes, parents, coaches, educators, and speech language pathologists, making brain health education accessible and impactful. Brain Talk Foundation is a 501c3, so every donation is tax deductible, and every single dollar makes a difference. Support this mission. Visit braintalkfoundation.org and donate today. Together, we're saving brains and changing lives.
All right. We are going to head into the candid questionnaire segment. So these are 5 questions that are going to help listeners just get to know you both a little bit better. Okay. Question 1. What's one word your friends would use to describe you?
Oh man.
You're laughing, Alex. And Burt.
I'll let Alex go first.
I have no idea. I have no idea. I have no idea. That's a really interesting question.
Well, you guys are both friends. So, okay, Burt, what's one word for Alex and Alex, one word for Burt?
Oh man, one word for Alex. Um,
I'm gonna say
You know,
fashionable since he's always been dressed to the
yeah, yeah.
nines with the amazing glasses every time we've been on.
Um, when you meet people, sometimes it's not one word, it's a few words. But I would have to say, I want to say awesome. And awesome is a can be many different words. Awesome meaning that you have somebody that supports you, somebody that understands you, because a lot of times I talk about things and he's like, "What?" And he'll do the research to understand it, and to me that's awesome because most people's like, yeah, just go over my head. So having someone that supports you and supports the family, again, we have to show up as so many different people as men and women. And if you can show up as a father, as a friend, as a business owner, as this person, that person, it makes you totally awesome.
Okay, I like
I gotta
that.
send you a check, don't I? So I
No
guess for
paid
Burt,
comments.
yeah, right. So I guess for Burt, I would say a giver. Um, when he came to me to do this business, he never thought about the financial part. And if you can tell, he hasn't mentioned it today. So I find that part fascinating because in every business, the person who's usually leading is usually the one that's talking most about the financial aspect of it, and he's never done that. So kudos to him for being a giver in a world where there aren't many.
Amen to that. Giver and awesome. I would take both of those any day. And I concur with each description. Question number 2. If you could instantly master any sport or physical skill, what would it be and why?
Oh wow, that's a very interesting one.
So I know mine. For me, that's
Go
easy.
ahead,
Go
Alex.
for it.
I have taken guitar lessons at least 10 times in my life, and I cannot play the guitar still. It's the most frustrating thing I've ever done. I would love to be able to play the guitar. Love it.
What about strumming a chord? You can do that, right?
I can't. I can't remember from one day to the next what I was doing. And you can play the different notes so many different ways. I don't understand how you go from one chord to the next and make that decision in a split second. So I play
Huh.
other instruments, but I've never been able to grasp the guitar.
Interesting. I
I
wonder
have
if
kids that can play the ukulele, but I can't play the guitar.
a TruBrain screening could help understand the challenge with that for you.
Yeah, we already know my screening is lacking attention. So
Oh,
I
you
know the
did
answer.
mention you
Yeah, I
did
know the
mention that.
answer to why. I'm just, if I could master one thing, that's what it would be.
Okay, I like that. I have taken guitar lessons, but I quit for a different reason. I found out that you had to have like calluses on your fingers.
You already
And
have those, yeah,
yeah, I
from
wanted soft
sports. I have
hands.
those. Yeah, and I think every guy would say we want you to have soft
Very
hands. That's
true. To
Yeah,
have man
no flickery.
hands.
yeah,
Yeah,
nah,
guys seem to be
the
offended. You
best.
shake someone's hand, you're like, "Oh, you've got such soft hands." I guess that's an insult.
No,
No,
it's
no,
not.
no.
It's not.
I get it
It's
sometimes too.
not.
Like, Bert, your hand's so soft. I'm like, not because I don't do anything. It's just in my feel. I don't have to
Yeah.
touch rocks or anything.
Well,
Um,
Rocks.
when you guys don't get it, then you'll know that it's a compliment because I don't
I
get
love that the rocks is the association with rough hands. I don't touch rocks in my profession.
it.
Okay. That's hilarious. Okay, Bert, what would you master if you could? Sport or physical skill, and why?
there's nothing to do with rocks. It's something personal to me, and it's gonna be my first time talking about it. Not gonna make me cry or anything. I want to learn how to bake.
Do tell.
Um, Baking is actually, I watch my wife bake all the time, and she is so happy. When she's making a little cookies or a little sourdough thing, when someone talks about their sourdough as a baby, you gotta feed the baby. Like when you're making sourdough bread and stuff, there's something with the baby, and you gotta put the baby in the bottle. I'm like, you taking care of what? A baby? But when I'm watching her, she's just like in this own little special place. She's just at peace and she's so happy. I'm like, I want to learn how to bake so I can feel like that and want to. You have to want to do bake, right? It's not like you want to sit there and watch them 45 minutes. It's something that you should want to do. And so that's one personal thing that I want to learn over the next couple of years is baking, because I think food brings pleasure to people, which people are happy, they perform better.
I love that. And I love that we get to not directly, but just acknowledge these gender stereotypes, because you are not the first gentleman who's been on the podcast who says that they love to bake and they're really good at it, or cooking, and they like being creative and pulling in the different recipes and coming up with different ideas. So that is eye-opening to me, not from the gender perspective, but just in that people like it, because I don't like cooking, I don't like baking. Doesn't mean I
Yeah.
can't, I just don't enjoy it. So to hear that there are people where that like is elation for them and they really love it makes me happy, and also makes me feel less guilty when my friends who are chefs are like, let me cook for you. I'm like, really? The inconvenience of it all, but that's a place of joy for them. So that's another perspective. Thank you for that. Okay, number 3, what's one activity or hobby you find most relaxing or beneficial for your brain?
I think
So
it's letting my brain, oh, go ahead.
go
I
ahead,
think it's
please.
letting my brain rest. Um, Meditation is an activity that a lot of people don't do. And, you know, there's all these physical activities that I could do, but just taking a minute to sit and declutter and not have any noise and just enjoy yourself, just be in yourself for that period of time is an activity that I think brings me joy, because I cut my phone off of any external things disturbing me, and I'm able to sit with my brain and just either process or don't process. Because sometimes you need a break from all the stimulation. Sports is great, it will help you, but there's a downside to that, the physical and the mental. But just sitting in your space and not letting anything disturb you is a flex to me. Is a flex if you can just sit still and not let anything else, because the other flex is just opening your eyes in the morning. Not everybody wakes up in the morning. So being able to take advantage of waking up but also being still is very important to me.
I love that answer. And I apply that answer. And say it again for the listeners in the back. You power your phone off. That is like the flex for me, especially for relaxation. I've had my phone on silent for going on 3 years now. I have that
Mm.
luxury. I don't have children, but that is kind of like a Pavlov's dog effect. Like you hear that notification bell, and no matter what you're doing, you're thinking, I got to get to it, or in a minute, I got to get to it. And when you're in session or, being one-on-one, I do my very best to be very intentional and in whatever space and interaction that I'm in. And those chimes, those notifications, those bells, the ringing, it can all completely distract and take you away. And so I've done that for myself, and I will power my phone off. And I love that because it's like the 90s again, and you get to be on an island, and it's like you just take the phone off the hook and nobody can reach out to you, ask you to do a favor, respond to this email, nothing. So I love that. Alex, what about you?
So in this situation, we are exactly opposites.
Do
Um,
tell.
I like to play sports to clear my head. I mean, I'm also away from my phone when I'm doing it, so maybe the phone is the connector, but I like paddle sports. So anything where you have to react without thinking, I can turn my brain off, and I really enjoy doing that as
Did you
a
say paddle
pastime.
or power?
Paddle,
Paddle. Like
power
whitewater
probably
rafting?
sound. Pa-
No, like
no,
pickleball.
no. I mean,
Oh,
I would do right with pickleball, tennis.
the way you shook
Like
your
Um,
head
whitewater
when you were
rafting,
like,
like
no, not whitewater rafting.
no,
no,
no.
uh-uh.
I mean,
I
us whitewater
I'm a
rafting. I just
I'm gonna need my phone for that for sure.
I
I gotta
love
be
whitewater
able to call somebody.
rafting. See,
I think I would love it too. I just think I don't think I would be relaxed when I was doing it for sure.
I love whitewater rafting. We're all going to have to go get the families together. We'll do multiple rafts, but it's fun. It is relaxing, especially in like the down times, the nature. You are away from your phone. It's nice.
That
But
sounds nice when
yeah,
you
but
say it.
yes, but paddle, pickleball, what other paddle sports?
I do tennis. I play any sport. My son used to be fun to play basketball with, but now he's taller than me, so I don't appreciate getting dunked on by a teenager. So I have retired from
Ah,
trying to
the
play
switch has
basketball.
happened.
In my house, it happened for sure. So
Yeah.
Well,
Hurt us a little hard.
what kind of what kind of dad are you? Were you the kind of like let your son win, or were you like the
no,
get out of here?
no, you cannot allow your child to beat you at anything. They have to earn that. That takes time and energy. So no, I never let him beat me. I remember the day he beat me for the first time.
I'm sure he
But
does too.
he does. He talks about it. But I never let him beat me. And
But
then he
now that he
still hasn't.
can, you're retired.
And this is only basketball we're talking about. This is no other sport but basketball. So,
So
but yeah,
what sports can you still beat your son in?
all the other ones, yeah, I'm good. Just
Okay.
not basketball.
So basketball is the only one that you're retiring from. The other ones that
That's
you can
it.
beat him in, you're still
Yeah,
active.
I still play every week. Yeah.
You can't
I'm
move like you
seeing,
want to.
No,
I'm sensing a correlation here.
my ankles
So
and my size, I don't get off the ground anymore.
So does this mean that when he starts to beat you in the other sports that you will start retiring from those as well?
No, no, just basketball. Basketball,
Okay.
when you get to this age, basketball is tough on all parts. Ankles, knees, back, all those things. Other sports, I'm all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to get a tennis match going too. I play tennis. I love tennis.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'll still play
Yeah.
as well.
Okay, 4. What's the weirdest or most unexpected item in your bag or car right now? More laughter. I love this.
Yeah,
Okay.
so Bert put it in my bag, and I'm laughing because it's still in there. It's that
Okay.
hydration pack that you put in there,
Oh
and I
yeah.
think you put it in there as a joke, but I don't remember if it was a joke or not. But I haven't taken it out, and I don't know why I haven't taken it out. Now that I'm thinking about it being in there, I don't know why I haven't taken that out yet. So we were going on a flight, and he slipped it in the bag, like, you're going to be dehydrated after this flight. I didn't know I complained so much about traveling, but I hate traveling for work.
Oh.
I'm not good at it. I get sick every time. I'm always in a bad seat.
I gotta walk with this little emergency bag in case, he gets dehydrated or has, headaches, or if he feels nausea, if he feels like, little anxiety, I'm like clonazepam, just
Oh my
He,
gosh. You
he's good at
legit
traveling.
have
I'm
a
not.
little CVS with you.
He
yeah,
does.
yeah. I'm like, come on, dude, let's go. Just sit right here. Once he has to,
I
so
do not. I
here's
do
the
not
funny
like
thing,
to
right?
travel.
Oh, something funny? So you see little kids with their iPads and they're like quiet. You give him his iPad, he's good to go. And he is zoned in. He will not see anything else. And he ready to go? Okay, cool. And then we roll. So I gotta make
So
sure his
it
iPad, make sure it's charged, make sure he has his comfortable seat, make sure he has his coffee, all those things, and he's the best functional person you can meet.
That is true.
okay. So you know how to keep him happy so that he's functional. We got the
That is
Yeah.
so
iPad.
true.
Now, I have a question. Now, Alex, since you know he has these things for you, do you
Hmm.
ask him for them
No,
or do you
no,
complain and then Bert comes in with the rescue supply? Like,
no, no,
oh
no,
man, I
no,
got a
no.
headache, and then Bert's like, got your medicine here.
No, so he's a very good traveler, right? So he knows all the rooms to go in and all the stores to go visit and what gate things are in and how to move this way and that way. I just plop me in front of the gate, and then he'll be like, I got a water. You want one? I got a coffee. You want one? And so I just say yes. I just say yes and let him do all of his things when he's walking around the airport.
This sounds like a beautiful dance.
Yeah. Just sit me in front of the gate. I don't want to miss it. I want to get home.
Oh my gosh, that is fantastic. Okay, so Bert is the one who has all of the traveling stuff together. And Alex, you're like, I'm gonna show up
Yep.
and
Yeah.
be in front of the gate.
Yeah. Just roll me in front of the gate. Just sit me down.
Got it. Okay, Burt, what's your unexpected item in your bag or car right now? Weirdest or most unexpected?
Um, it's very interesting. I don't think anything weird. I have a little notebook I carry. It's a little small notebook, it's about this small, and I jot down my feelings and thoughts every now and then to help myself remember that life is beautiful and our perception of things that's out there is not our reality. And I just
So
carry this little book. Huh?
so healthy.
Well, we got to keep this healthy. We got to keep the brain healthy because it's what makes us who we are. And it's a little thing. It's you know, I call it a brain dump, right? You take what's in here and you dump it out. You take what's in here, you dump it out because you have to leave space for the other things. You have to leave space for the good feelings, for the, you know, when you saw a good friend and you see in a while, or when you have a good conversation with that person. If you empty out the things that aren't necessary, you have more time for the things that are beautiful in your life.
Very true. You've just inspired me to journal more. I had this whole thing. I'm gonna, write in my journal more. And I was, started off really strong, but I'm gonna pick it back up because you're so right. It's like once you leave it on the page, it's like it's done and you can release it, and there is a lot more room and kind of you're lighter, I feel. Yeah. So thank you for that. Okay, last question. What's your go-to guilty pleasure TV show, movie, or song?
Hmm. Hmm. TV.
I have a song. I don't really have a TV show. Oh,
Okay.
I got a weird
A
TV
couple
show I
shows.
like, but
Okay.
um, some feed Phil on Netflix.
Say it again.
Somebody Feed Phil on
Oh,
Netflix. It's a
what's that
food
about?
show, and the guy is just so happy all the time. Like it's insane. He's just excited about eating all the time, and he travels around the world eating food. But the song I like is my gym song. I play it. It's the first song I play every morning when I get to the gym, and it's Special Ed. Um, that's my song.
I think I know that song.
Are you too young to know what I'm talking about?
Nope. I know what you're talking about. I know that
Okay.
song. That's your gym song?
That's the first song I play when I get to the gym because I think it's funny because it's positive affirmations the whole time and you don't even realize it. And so I figure if I start that way with I got it made, then I'll be able to make it through whatever comes that day.
There you go. I like that. See, the mental component, believe in yourself, uplifting. I always start my day with dancing and singing. Sometimes I'll post it on my stories. And people seem to like that. Like even just seeing that like upbeat in music, music is healing. So, okay,
Hmm.
special ed. I like that. All right, Burt, what about you?
Uh, when I feel overwhelmed or I feel like, you know, I have too much going on, I need a minute. I listen to Sade.
Me
My wife,
too.
yeah, well, my wife when she drives sometimes before she's on her way to work, she'll pop Sade in. So some couple times Robert was like, "Why are you listening to Sade?" She's just relaxing, and I started listening to it like during the daytime. I just tell Alexa play Sade, and you just feel a calm come over you because the music, the notes are just they're very flowing.
How'd
They're
that
not
go?
too
I
high
missed that.
pitched.
You froze up for a second. Can you repeat? They go
Oh,
like what?
oh, the notes go
Oh, okay, I thought
like
that's what you said. Okay.
it's like it's the so music is so important for the brain. Like I used to play the piano, which is one thing I want to start back doing again is playing the piano because the intricacies of using your fingers and not looking at the keys and hearing the tone, they've shown that it does impact your brain in a positive way. It actually helps you reduce anxiety and increase your cognitive abilities. So Sade for me, the tones in her music they help relax and it just help you flow. Like you feel like a flow and you start relaxing. You just flow with the music. You're not necessarily dancing. It's just your brain is relaxing because you're so focused on listening.
I love that. And I love Sade. Alex, I know what you were doing there, having him repeat that tone.
Yeah. It's okay.
I know what
It's all
you were
good.
doing.
All good.
But yes, I love Sade. I love her song By Your Side. I love Jezebel. Just I
Coordinate.
feel like you don't need to skip a song on any of
No,
her
yeah,
albums. And if you can pull it up on YouTube and see her perform, like I love that she's barefoot, that like the lighting and the mood, even the way
yeah.
that she introduces her band. Like Sade is just a beautiful individual. I love her and I love her music. Um, well, thank you both so much for joining me on this episode. I know that listeners are going to learn a lot. I always learn when speaking with Burt and Alex. So thank you both so much. And much more to come. I hope to have you all back on. Burt, you did fantastic for your first podcast. So everybody clap it
Yeah,
up for
go Bert.
him.
Thank you.
Yes. More to come, but we will definitely be in touch and we'll talk soon.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thank
Thanks,
you.
Dr. Kelly. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Candid Conversations with Dr. Kelly. I appreciate you being part of this journey and these powerful conversations around brain health and beyond. If you're loving the podcast and want even more bonus episodes, exclusive Q&As, stories from my professional and personal life, behind the scenes moments, and yes, those bloopers you all love, then I invite you to join my Patreon family, where we always keep it candid. Your membership gives you access to all that bonus content and helps keep this podcast going strong. Plus, every contribution helps support our mission to raise awareness, educate, and empower others about the silent struggles so many face. So head on over to patreon.com/Dr. Kelly to join today. I'd love to have you. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and as always, keep it candid.